call last night from an old
I kick
friend
drum.
wife's
I love it. I love it. I love it. So we are back with episode 3 from the Republican National Convention.
Tres.
How cool is that?
That's just weird, man.
It's like I told you. I think either one of these, I'm telling you that you've set the bar too high for folks because,
Oh, well.
man, the backstage opportunities, what everybody's getting to see.
I don't know how that happens except just like the stars lined up. Well, let me say it like no coincidence. I think that there's a something guiding us, and
There is.
and so it's a beautiful thing. We just keep rolling.
Yeah. And what a cool trip. That was great timing. I mean, just a
Yeah.
great, what an honor for someone like, for Mike and I to be at the Republican National Convention with a guy who's singing one of the most patriotic songs ever written. So that was cool for us.
Bless you, man.
I know
I was honored
you
to
don't
have
let all
y'all
that
there.
sit in, but I mean, just to be all, and man, the hours these folks keep.
every one of those
Wow.
things that I've been to, they just come prepared to stay up the whole
They
time.
do. And it was really cool where they had it set up with all the Tennessee folks in the same hotel. So we got to see a
Yes.
lot of our friends that are representatives and those types of
And people
things.
that are not really our friends too.
And those people.
Yeah.
We won't bring her up. But we did. There we go.
I'm sorry.
It's all
You
good.
can cut that out.
But, the thing is, like you'll see with this, we don't have a stopwatch on it. But, we did the first interview with Congresswoman Lisa McClain.
Right.
And so we started that at 9:00 p.m.
Yes.
You go on stage at 11:30,
Right.
and then we start the second interview at 1:30 in the morning.
Right.
After everybody had been traveling, and I mean, you guys had all the travel issues that we'll talk about in the
yeah.
episode,
Yeah.
and there's some divine intervention in there that's a great clip in here. Plus, Mike and I flew up that morning, so it was just a long, long day. But
Sure.
man, it was great stuff.
The timing of it all, and Scott Golden was, the reason for us being there.
Yeah.
We didn't play like on the floor or on the main stage at the RNC, but we played one of their perimeter type venues that was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it has been some kind of an old
It was.
Episcopalian church
Yeah.
or something like that. Just it was kind of gutted out and turned into a venue, and it was full of people, packed, and the energy was insane. I mean, and for them to do all for these politicians, if you will, just to throw them all into one big category, to come out and take the time, Kip sort of spearheaded that for us, but man alive, how cool was it that we just got to do all this and run our podcast right? Basically, most of it ran after the whole thing was over.
Yeah. You had a buddy that filled in that day on
Yes.
guitar. I mean, literally, Julianne called him that
Yeah.
morning because of the health issue.
With my other guitar
With the
player.
other
My
guitar-
brand new guitar
Yeah,
player.
so he jumps on a plane and comes up, and he was cool.
He had played in the band with me before.
Mhm.
He was my guitar player and a incredible harmony singer. He does his own thing, Vince Moreno.
Yeah.
The actual name is Vicente Moreno.
Well, see, I had to wait for you to say his real name
Yes.
because I learned all of his other names throughout this process that I couldn't remember what the guy's actual name is. And so, again, just the fun of being backstage and getting to see those guys. And, it was interesting, Henry Barber.
Right.
He's the national
Mississippi.
committeeman from Mississippi, and just kind of soaking in some of the stuff he said. And always love. I think that's a great debate that he went through, and that's part of the show. It sounds like life. Let's talk about it. Right?
Oh, when we talked about the election being rigged?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was great. He came back with, his feelings about it.
Yeah.
Which he didn't feel that way at all. He said basically his thing, I think, was it came down to 48 or 51,000 votes, and how it was easy to go and track that. I went back afterwards. Oh,
There's your kick drum again.
I went back afterwards and looked at all that, and then I went and looked at a bunch of other stuff that I've had looked at before, and I still disagree with him.
Yeah.
But that's all right. That's why they call it democracy for a reason, man. And so people when you present it that way and we can talk about it and discuss it, it's all good.
So something that's changed since this episode that you and I haven't even had a chance to talk about yet. When we filmed this, Joe Biden was still the candidate.
Right. That's right.
So that's changed.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on all that and how the process worked? Put you on the spot.
No, not at all. So
Yeah.
I told my wife when they let Trump and Biden debate at the point where they let them debate in the race, I said something's weird here because they never do this before the candidates are announced. And so I said, this is too early. There's something going on. And I said, here's my bet. I said, my bet is that they're going to human sacrifice poor old Biden. And he's going to go out there and look like, that they just pulled him out of the nursing home. And he did. And then I said, then they're going to start the big campaign to get someone else to run instead of him. And they'll have to wrestle with him about all that. And then eventually they'll either, put the vice president in that situation or they'll find someone else. And I said, that's how it's going to go down. So
I believe Mike Murphy can talk about the conversation we had on the plane because I called it on the plane. I said, the when they did that debate.
There you go.
Now, where I was wrong, and again, there's still crazy that can happen. I assumed either Michelle Obama,
Me too,
or Hillary Clinton would be on the ticket. And I don't,
I did too.
we'll see.
Yeah,
I didn't think that she would get a chance yet to be president.
Yeah, but that could be show business.
It could be
what we're seeing now.
It's all throw the rule book out the window.
I wouldn't
They've
be
proven
surprised if it still didn't change.
Yeah.
Actually, I would probably be surprised if it didn't change.
If it locks in as it is going to be shocking.
To me, that's a horrible decision on their part.
Well,
but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
We'll see. Yeah.
So, sounds like life.
To me.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and go to the Republican National Convention.
Yes, sir.
All right, Darryl Worley, we are at the Republican National Convention. How cool is that, man?
We're in Milwaukee.
We are in Milwaukee, and you are spoiling these fans because we've had 2 special location shoots already.
Started off with the Grand Ole Opry.
We did. We were backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, and now we are here, part of the energy, part of the excitement. And we've already got some guests. We're kicking off with some guests.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to kick it over here to our buddy Kip. We met him today. Heard lots of great things about it. Kip, tell us about yourself, what you do, and why tonight is just the energy is out there in the room.
Well, first of all, nothing you heard is true.
Okay,
let me add
Good to
that.
know. Good to know.
But I'll take a compliment. It's great, first of all, to be with you here.
Thank you.
We're throwing a big ass party tonight in
Absolutely.
Milwaukee to celebrate American manufacturing. That's what we're all about at the Association of Equipment Manufacturing, and could not be more excited to be in our hometown of Milwaukee to welcome the Republican National Convention here.
Yeah.
Hopefully people are having some cheese curds and some spotted cow and maybe a glass of whiskey or we make a lot of brandy in Wisconsin.
So AEM's home is here.
Yes, sir.
I did not know that.
Yes, 130 years we've been here.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So you didn't have to travel far.
I did not. No.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. We're just. I can walk home after this and go to sleep. In my
Go
own
to
bed.
sleep. There you go. Speaking of cheese curds, our hotel has great cheese
I've
curds.
already
So that was something to know.
The
when we go
trick
back.
is if you just squeeze them a little bit, they make a little sound. And that means that they're fresh and good to eat. So
You're talking about just a curd, not a fried one.
No, just a curd.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I used to spend a lot of time in Wisconsin because my father worked for a company called Appleton Wire, but I guess the bigger name was anyway. We came here a lot, and I used to sing the anthem at the Packers games all the time.
How cool.
And I don't know how many times I did it, but I used to bring my father when I could, and he was in heaven. So we love Wisconsin.
Well, we love it too, and we're glad you're here. And I was going to try and make an elegant transition from cheese curds to our special guest.
Easy now.
Great timing.
Good luck.
Man. That's a good one. I like
Good luck
this
with
guy.
that.
Kip, I've never been compared to a cheese curd, but I appreciate it.
And she's from
I appreciate
Texas.
that.
Good luck.
Well, so I bungled that one, but we do have a special guest. If I may introduce her,
Please.
Absolutely.
my good friend Lisa McLean, Congresswoman from the great state of Michigan, part of the Republican House leadership and the second highest ranking woman in the U.S. Congress.
Wow.
Lisa, welcome.
Thank you.
That's
Thanks for
powerful.
being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks
This
for
is exciting.
thanks for
Yeah.
coming in and doing this with us. You know, we tried we tried to get everybody to do it. You're the only one that would.
Oh my gosh. So Kip, I don't know if you like me or dislike me. We'll talk after.
Yeah.
I like you a lot, Lisa.
So tell us, your festivities this week. I mean, your schedule's got to be absolutely jam packed. Tell us a little bit about it.
It is. It's go go go.
Right.
Right. Interviews, panels. We were just down on the convention floor. Saw all the people from my district. I mean, the energy on the floor.
Electrifying.
It is. It's so
Yeah.
contagious.
Yeah.
It seriously is. You get on that floor and you can just feel it in your
Oh,
bones,
yeah.
right? So we spent some time there. We did a couple receptions, and then of course I have to come over here and see my friend Kip.
Oh, have to. She said
Yeah.
have to. I heard
Yeah.
that.
I
want
noticed that
to.
too.
Now,
You got to listen to a little Darryl Worley too. We're gonna
There
be
you
Right,
go.
yeah.
you're gonna be
You're
out there
gonna be
throwing
you're-
down in a little while. So
Yeah.
hang
I'll
around
be
for
a good
that.
backup singer.
Oh, you can do that.
No, you don't want me. to
We
do
can get you
that.
up on. We know a guy. We can get you
I'll
up on
put
stage.
you
know
up
a
there.
guy?
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Someone was telling me earlier at the hotel, because they've been several times, several conventions, and they said it's just different this year.
Well-
So that's my thing. Okay, someone articulate that for me. Tell me why. This is my first time, so someone tell me why it's different. What is the difference? What's the energy?
Well, this is my first time too, so
Okay.
we're virgins.
There.
See?
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. But what in all seriousness, you can just feel it, and I don't know if it's because we've had such a horrible,
Yeah.
3.5 years. I don't know if the tragedy or almost tragedy
right.
that happened on Saturday kind of woke everybody up to, hey, listen, we do have it pretty good.
Yeah.
And our disagreements are really over policy.
Right,
They're really
right.
not over personalities, but we gotta cut that out, you know.
Yeah.
And I just feel a sense of like rebirth. It's really, really crazy. Now I will say the security is a little much, but
Has to be. I mean, it has to be, doesn't it? I mean,
it
it's-
is. It is.
Speaking of security, can I tell a funny story that happened
Sure.
just minutes ago? So, I dropped you guys off at the front, and we were unloading everything.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And they told me I had to go park the truck, and they basically handed me this little coupon that said "put in your window," but I don't really know how you get back there to the parking lot. And so it was funny. It was good. They were nice and joking about it. They said because most of the roads are blocked, and the ones that aren't blocked are only one way in the opposite direction. Well, I'm from the South, and so when there's a cone in the road, we either get out and move it or. So I just thought I'm going to put my blinkers on, throw my flashers on, I just go right through a cone. You know, that cop was so helpful getting me to that parking lot. If only I'd have had the camera. But you know what? I found the parking lot.
There you go.
And we're parked safely. But boy, he was on me like white on rice. They did their job, and they're protecting folks out
Well,
there.
that's
So
$25
a
million
funny-
extra dollars for security. That'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do
Yeah.
it. That'll do it.
It's called
So,
Wisconsin Nice.
Wisconsin.
Is it?
Yeah,
Ah.
Wisconsin Nice. We try.
Yeah.
That's good.
You know, I've got a thought on
Okay.
this. And man, this is out there. But I do this every now and then. But there's just been something. You said rebirth, renewal, revival, and John Rich called me. He had been on doing an interview with. Oh God, my brain's been like this all night.
Maybe it was 3:30 in the morning.
The guy that was on Fox. You know this.
Huckabee.
No.
Hannity?
No. The guy that left Fox not too long ago, and the younger guy that was just real straight ahead and real. Anyway.
They're all that way, I think.
Anyway,
That's- yeah.
So John and I were talking, and you know, this is bizarre, but it's very real. if there's ever been an act of God, that whole moving his head this much, I mean, it was very bizarre, but you have to kind of, it makes you go,
Whoa.
we all saw that.
Yeah.
You can't discount that.
You can't unsee
And so, you know, when you look at that situation and you go, I call that an act of God. I call that a miracle.
divine intervention.
Divine intervention. Maybe that's part of what we feel.
Yeah.
Let's hope
That could
so.
be it. That could
Let's
be
hope
know,
so. Because that could mean big changes on the way.
Yeah. I asked Mike in the truck on the way up. I said, "Man, help me figure out how to articulate this." And it's exactly what you just said. I said, "Man," I said, because I've just had an uneasiness about this election for so many months because I mean, I'll say it. Y'all may or may not be able to say it, but the last one was rigged. It was stolen from us. What's going to prevent
We say
that
it
from
all the
happening?
time.
Yeah. What's going to prevent that from happening
Yeah,
again?
that's a little scary.
And then I saw that head turn, and I said, "God's got this."
Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here stressing over something, and God, okay,
Yeah.
He's got this.
I would have to say you're right.
Well, really, what other explanation is there?
There are-
When you think about it, right?
Right.
The odds of a shooter getting that close,
We
and
won't go there.
he literally just turned his head to look at a visual, which he very rarely does.
Right.
If
Right.
you
You'd
watch
watch
any,
his previous- yeah.
he's always straightforward. He's always straight ahead. But in this particular moment, he decided to look at the teleprompter, the
Right.
big jumbotron. It's not the teleprompter. Very uncommon.
Yeah.
And at that very
Yep.
split second, I mean, if you don't believe
Yeah. There
God
you go.
had a hand in it, then
Yeah.
Well, it happened to me yesterday in the airport in Newark. I'm with my guitar player, and we're just having a lazy afternoon sitting in the airport laughing and talking. And so I don't miss flights. The only flights I've ever missed in my life have been like where I was just doing the O.J. Simpson through the airport, and I got caught in traffic or something really bizarre happened. But my wife will tell you I'm that guy that I'll be sitting there an hour before they call the first people on the plane. That's just me because I don't want to miss it. I don't want to have to go. So anyway, yesterday we're just sitting and talking, and somehow in my mind I got it that the flight was leaving at leaving at 5:40, so boarding at 5:10, whatever. Well, I look down and it's close to 5 o'clock, and we go over there to the gate, and she goes, "That plane's been gone for 15 minutes." And I thought, how did this? I was just dumbfounded at how did this happen? And 15 minutes later is when Joe had his attack and had to be taken to the hospital in an ambulance from the airport.
Yeah.
And I went, somebody knew that was getting ready to happen.
Yeah. Isn't that?
I mean, I'm telling you, my wife said, "Darryl, you don't miss flights." I said, I said, I have no explanation. I can't. I said, it's the weirdest thing ever. And then, bam! I mean, he just folded up in a knot and couldn't even get to the bathroom. He started throwing up in the hallway, and next thing you know, we had to call the ambulance in, and they took him off to the hospital.
is he okay?
He is. We've got some figuring out to do with that. You know, it sure was almost like a lot like gallbladder to me, that what I witnessed. But we've talked through a bunch of stuff. I've also seen a guy go down with a heart attack that had the same symptoms. So it scared me to death. I thought, oh no, here we go. And anyway, he's good, and he's on his
Good.
way home tomorrow.
Good,
So
good.
To hear that.
we were very blessed there. But I thought, you know, the Trump thing happened, and it's got me thinking about that divine intervention. And then obviously we'd have been in the air when that hit him, and it would have
What
been a
do you do?
disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's a pretty good flight, you know, hour and 10, 20 minutes, whatever. We'd have probably been about halfway through that, and it would have hit him. And so
Yeah.
anyway,
Sometimes life works out.
It
yeah.
does. It
Right?
does.
No, it's good.
Well, I hate to change the subject because this is good stuff, but I think Kip wants to talk a little manufacturing. Any manufacturing to talk about right now? Anything you want to tell us?
You're talking about divine intervention. We're hoping for a little divine intervention
Okay.
when it comes to strengthening American manufacturing, and you know, that's something that I know Lisa has been working on ever since she came to Congress and before then. But I mean, look, without getting to speechifying here, I mean, I think one of the things that, you know, we're talking about in Milwaukee, one of the things that, you know, we're looking forward to the president talking about And one of the things that we're hoping that people who leave Milwaukee will come away with is this notion that we need to make sure that the future is made in America.
Right.
And
Amen.
we need to make sure that we strengthen manufacturing in America. I'm delighted to be here in this room with you all and talking about this. But once this convention wraps up, I'm hitting the road. We're traveling around the country this year. We're doing 10,000 miles, 80 stops, 20 states, the AEM Manufacturing Express. And we're talking about manufacturing. We're visiting small towns, communities, telling the stories of the people that build equipment in this country. So, I'll lob it over to Lisa, but we got to just get our act together as a country.
Right.
We got to invest in our ability to make sure that we make all the stuff that we need.
Why not do it here where we do it right?
Yeah, right.
Man, I was talking to my brother the other day, and we were talking about drones, and he said, the Chinese have copied a bunch of things that my brother's very high up in developing weapon systems and stuff like that, high security clearance with the government, and has worked on some unbelievable projects. And he said they've copied some things that we have done. They've got their hands on our blueprints and stuff even. He said, but, like one flight and they fall all to pieces. He says, and ours don't. And make it here where we make it right.
Yeah. I am convinced that there is no one that can outcompete us in this world.
No.
As long as it's a level playing field,
That's
long
right.
as we don't have one hand tied behind our backs. But if we unleash the power of American manufacturing, there's nothing stopping us.
I agree.
And that's what gave us our competitive advantage.
Right.
And I think part of the issue that I do believe President Trump will address when he becomes president, probably within the first 100 days, if I had to guess, was all of the regulation. Is to make it competitive, to make it a fair playing field. The number one thing I think we have to do, forget about the tax rates for a moment, because we didn't talk about that, but the regulation, the difficulty for the small business owner to have the ability to produce something.
Yeah.
But I know I was in business, and many businesses, they can't afford the regulation.
That's right.
And if you look at when Trump was president, I believe the number was for every new regulation that came out, he removed 22.
Right.
Wow, what a concept is that? But it starts with a mindset.
That's right.
Because he believes in innovation. He
Yes.
believes in the small business owner, right? He doesn't need we don't need the government. We don't need big government to come in and tell you how to run your business.
This is how you start a revival.
It is.
Yep.
I mean, that's
Yep.
what it
And
takes.
it's
Yep,
true.
it is.
I mean, if we're going to get out of this, let's just take clean energy for a second, right? If we're going to get out of it, the government can't mandate it.
Right.
We're not going to pass
You
a
have to
bill
choose
that's
to.
going to lower
Right.
carbon emissions. It's going to be business that's going to get us out of
Thank
it.
you.
Because they're going to be the ones that are going to innovate it. We just need to be able to give them the runway to do it.
In other words,
You're
show
100%
show us that we can benefit from this in some way, and
And
we'll
we'll
do
do
it
it.
you'll
Right.
You'll figure it
let's
out.
do it.
Absolutely.
The
'Cause it
government's
fits
not
our
innovating.
business, and so we're from rural West Tennessee, and so we're seeing Blue Oval City.
We say it like this.
rural. I spell that every once in a while. And so I'm about an hour and a half from Blue Oval. You're probably about the same, aren't you?
Probably so.
But we're seeing it impact our community.
Yeah, sure.
So yes, you're not seeing the shovel hit the dirt in our county, but we're celebrating a couple counties over because we're already seeing the impact. We're seeing the difference. We're seeing better education for our kids because those when those companies come in and invest in those communities, they want it.
Yeah.
They want it.
Well, if you think about it, if you have a good, healthy economic system, the better your economic system is, the healthier it is, the more social programs you can have, the less crime you
Absolutely.
have, the better charitable people are, the more innovation comes, you have better education, all boats, to use that saying, rise. But we have to get away from, and this is where I'm so excited about the president, because he does see the world through an economic lens.
Yes. Thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. We have to stop thinking that profit is a bad word.
That's the whole point,
That's
isn't
a-
it?
I love what you just said.
Yeah.
Can I get an amen?
Yes.
Amen.
Since
Amen.
we're talking
You
about
can get
revival.
Pass a
Yeah.
plate. I
Well,
mean,
and-
that's-
But seriously,
Right.
there is an attack, I feel, on, oh my goodness, if you make profit, you're just evil.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Right.
where's the incentive to do that?
There's
You know,
none.
it's this race to mediocrity.
I've had some folks say several times, I wish that we could get out there and spend the time that we have to find ways to spend money and do different ways to manipulate business. If we could just focus all that on making things better, making America great again, instead of penalizing people for making profit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And by the way, what Lisa said earlier, she's absolutely right. Of course, I might add, $50,000 per employee is what regulations are costing the average small manufacturer today.
Wow.
And now, if you've got 20 employees, 30 employees, 40 employees, that's real money. And imagine what you could do with that money.
Yeah.
You know, you could reinvest it in your manufacturing. You could reinvest it in your community. You can reinvest it in your charity. That's money that's just going to Uncle Sam, and I don't think that the government is using it to strengthen American manufacturing. By the way,
Correct.
I think
No.
it goes to just about anything but
That's
that.
right.
Agreed.
Right there in our little county. I say little county. We are one of the larger counties by landmass in the state with fewest people. In the past 10 years, I've known of 3 different folks that are close to me that made a really intense attempt at having small business, manufacturing type business in our county. And every one of those people said the government choked me out.
Yep.
Wow.
And the government should be incentivizing
Oh,
that,
are you
because
kidding?
the more profits you make, the more tax revenue they collect.
Right.
Yes, and not only that, but it's going to make our country's backbone stronger.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the whole key. And so,
And the jobs stay here. They don't go to Mexico. They
Right.
don't go to. They stay here.
right.
I don't understand what piece of the puzzle or what dots they can't connect. I really don't.
No, not at all.
So I'm going to play dumb for a second. Tell me.
It's not real hard for him.
I wasn't going there.
Waiting for that
I
one.
was
You
not
don't know
going
me well
there.
enough for that
I
one.
do this with him all the time. I'm not scared.
Let's look at the other. Help me understand the other side of the argument. Help me understand where the left is coming in saying that these regulations are a good thing.
Because they don't. I don't know, but my guess
Right.
would be they believe that you are going to abuse, take advantage of the customer, the client.
So fear mongering.
Fear mongering, and they believe they can do it better.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: don't you think if you're in government, you're hooked on something, you're dependent,
Right.
right? I don't think dependency is a good thing. I don't want my kids to be dependent on me, on
No.
their spouse, and heck
Yeah.
no, not the government. But I find it very ironic. Remember COVID? Remember that thing called COVID?
What
Right?
was what?
Yeah.
We didn't really
I'm
know
gonna
about
play
it.
dumb again. That one.
I figured I could
Yeah.
tee that one up.
Thank you.
But how many of our businesses, manufacturing companies, home builders,
Yeah.
how many of our businesses, forget about going out of business, but operated at 25% capacity, 50% capacity, right? Tell me how many new permits were getting distributed, how many new bars were opening up, how many
Right.
new restaurants were opening up during COVID. I would think it's safe to say, I don't think anyone would call me a liar if I said businesses were operating at about 50% capacity.
Okay.
Can someone explain to me why the government was operating at 100% capacity? I mean, we weren't issuing any permits, yet the Lara was at full capacity. Nobody got laid off. Do you think perhaps maybe they want more government agencies on top of more government agencies to create
Absolutely.
that dependency? That's the only thing I can think of, because we have bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy on top of bureaucracy.
Yeah, but that makes
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
big sense what you're saying when you think about this whole massive government thing.
Yeah.
And we all know that that's the kind of government that they believe in. That's the thing they push. That's what they want. Now they may say they don't, but what they do proves different.
Agreed.
So
Because in their mind, they can control that.
Yes.
They can't control 10 independent owners of businesses that have their own values, that have their own, way they do business. And so,
And the government
think they're
really,
better.
yeah, it's
I think
just,
they're smarter.
well, they do. And I just, the point I think that we've been making this week, continue to make, is that, ideally we want the government to be a partner with us. We want the government to work for us, not
Sure.
against us.
Sure.
Right? But if they can't get on board, then they need to get out of our way.
Amen.
And that's the one thing that we struggle sometimes to figure out. It takes 7 years on average to permit a new infrastructure project. 7 years.
incredible.
7 years, you need a new power plant to power your schools or your hospitals, or you need a new bridge over the river, or you need a new road to get more people to where they need to go. And 7 years, when you start making that project on your spreadsheet, well, guess what happens 7 years later? Right? Everything has changed on
Yeah.
that spreadsheet. Lisa
Of
knows,
course.
right?
Right.
She used to run a business. So it's crazy that's how we're operating. But one other point I just want to make real quickly, and I'm going to quiz you here. I'm going to start with you.
Oh, man.
Uh-oh.
What do you think?
Can I go back to playing dumb?
You can. What do you think the 2.3 million men and women make equipment in this country? What do you think the most common second profession is of those 2.3 million men and women? So many of them have more than one job, right?
Okay.
So what is the most common of those 2.3 million men and women profession that they also do on the side or while they're building equipment?
I'm going to say that my guess is I've got two. Can I have two guesses?
Yeah, you can have three.
Oh, well, that means I'm going to get all three wrong, is what that means. My first guess would be something in the service industry, or something in a home business where they've got their own small startup entrepreneur type business, or they've got some type of. I go back to the service business and something dealing with their,
And I
their
put you on
brain's
the spot.
capacity.
I didn't mean to. You know what it is? It's farming.
Farming.
That's
Yeah.
what, you
I knew that's what you're gonna say.
And
So
okay.
you got it right.
Yeah,
that was my.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
gonna
And we
come-
chatted a little bit about
Well,
that
we-
earlier.
If you think, you
So
think
you
about
gave
it.
him the okay. That's fair. That's fair. You gave him the answer.
No, no,
before-
no. He never gave me a chance.
No,
Gotcha.
no,
He answered.
no. I was a little quick on the draw there, but the point here is that you talk about manufacturing, you should talk about farming as well, and you should talk
Exactly.
about rural communities. Because guess where those skid steers, or balers, or tractors, or combines are built? They're built in rural America.
Wow.
And looking at Lisa because she's been a staunch advocate of rural America, but we got to do more for rural communities too.
Oh, I agree with that.
No question.
But that's an unpopular opinion among some.
Yeah.
Not here in Milwaukee though.
I was going to say, I bet not.
Michigan either.
I bet
No,
our buddy
not in
Jamie
Michigan.
Tosh at Tosh Farms would argue with that, wouldn't he?
He'll argue with anything.
He'll argue with anything. So, thank you guys so much for being a part of
Absolutely.
this. And
We got to get you a hat, Darryl. We got a campaign called I Make America. We've been doing that for 13 years. We actually launched it with Mike Rowe
okay,
about 13 years ago, and it's about making things in America. It
Yeah.
says, I Make America, and sometimes we give these hats out. They come in red, they come in blue. I'll let you guess which one is the most popular.
Of course.
I bet.
And sometimes people get a Sharpie and they add a little thing to it, which is fine by us. But we got to get you a hat and get you one for your daughter. She can wear that to school. And-
there you
Absolutely.
go. I
Yeah.
like that.
Absolutely.
Well, we are back here on the Sounds Like Life podcast, and man, Darryl Worley just came off the stage. It's 12:30,
It don't feel like it.
and man, I think the energy after all this, I could go all night.
Oh yeah, that's
You
what
know,
happens at these things.
It's crazy. I set my alarm this morning at 3:30 in Paris, Tennessee, and we drove to Nashville, got on a plane, flew out here, and I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna hit the 24-hour mark and probably do a victory lap. This has been for a good old rural boy. I needed this, guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys could come, man. 'cause,
Yeah,
you
it's-
know, this is a very unique year, and of course, then the episode with Trump in Pennsylvania, and it's just all this stuff that happens has a lot to do with how this thing feels,
right.
and this one's a little different.
It really is, and just to see, I don't know how much you could see from the stage earlier, but the people singing lyric for lyric.
Really?
I mean, it was just cool. I hope Mike got it. I got people dancing. There were
That's
people,
awesome.
and it was just, that's America, man. And I know I hound you a lot about you are Americana. You are that guy.
I better
you
be.
are the and tonight I saw that, and that was exciting.
Very
That
cool.
to me, that means we need to throw some gasoline on that fire.
Right.
Because it's there. The flame is there, and where there's smoke, there's fire. So let's roll with that.
Yeah.
But what a cool night. What a great first class event.
Oh yeah.
Of course, we've got our guest here. Let's bring them in. Guys, thank you for having Darryl. Thank you for having us. I'm the tag along. Man, y'all
be happier.
yeah, what a great crowd. What a great
Yeah, it was-
event.
Yes,
that was a special evening.
Yeah.
And I saw what you're talking about too. There was a lot of people up close that recognized my early music from early on,
Yeah.
which is 20 plus years ago.
Right.
And that was pretty special. You never know how these things are going to go. A lot of times the people that are working and running these things are so much younger.
Yeah.
You see that a lot nowadays.
But even then, maybe our production guys. Usually, when we're in the studio shooting this, they can put. We've got all the screens and all. They can make it all work. When they post produce this, the shot of the girl that brought you a fresh glass of water up on stage.
Oh yeah.
I had her bringing that up because she was singing every song. She couldn't have been 25.
My Marie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She
That's
sang
cool.
like 3 songs in a row, and I'm like, I've got to run this water up there to him. 'Cause I can tell he's thirsty. I'm gonna let her do it. But that's what's so neat is it's multi-generational.
Oh yeah.
And you're doing a great job engaging with that. But guys, kudos to y'all because you had people from all over the
You
country.
sure did.
You had,
Yep.
I know a lot of our buddies from Tennessee
That's
we
right.
saw here.
Couple guys.
But we saw people from all over that were here supporting y'all. And, of course, Kip, we talked in the first segment of this. And, man, I'm just fired up. I really got connected when we were talking about Blue Oval City and just what it's doing in West. I don't know how familiar you are with that project, but it really is changing the landscape
Oh yeah.
of all of West
We
Tennessee.
got a Mississippian here.
a Mississippi. Tell us more about yourself there, Mr. Mississippian.
Well, my name's Henry Barber. I live in a town called Yazoo City.
Yazoo. How do you
Home of
spell
Jerry
Yazoo
Clower.
City?
Yes, sir.
Not too shabby. And I work in politics. And I'm what they call the National Committee Man for the state of Mississippi, which doesn't really mean anything other than I'm a member of the Republican National Committee and have been on it almost 20 years. And we're here in Milwaukee to nominate the next president of the United States.
Thank you.
And, what happened last weekend is just such a serious thing. I mean, how that happened, they'll investigate that and figure that out.
Sure.
But I think, Darryl, that it really impacted the folks in the country.
Absolutely.
And obviously, President Trump.
yeah.
And when he came out last night in the convention hall,
Yeah.
it was one of the most powerful things I've ever seen. This is my 9th Republican convention. And it's one of the most powerful things I have seen at a Republican convention. You could see the emotion. You could see
Sure.
how strong he was
Yep.
and determined. And it's all of that, of course, and I'm a political person, but it's a real contrast to the current occupant at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And but it was a great moment, and what I think makes it even greater is what he's had to say is it's time for America to come together. And I've ripped up my speech.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop kind of with the attacks against just Biden. I'll say, quote, personally, but we're gonna talk about how do we bring America together.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about that, then we can talk about the issues that
Absolutely.
people care about.
Absolutely, man.
And
So-
go ahead, Darryl.
So several months back, we were getting into this climate of, and it's been that way for a long time. We all know,
I mean, surely we all know that this idea of dividing us started in probably well, it was going strong in the late 50s.
Yeah.
All through the 60s. This is a long-term plan to tear our country apart from the inside out, okay? And I mean, trust me, don't fear that people are going to think that you're conspiracy theorists. They all think that about me already. So I'll handle that. I'll carry that on my shoulders. But we put out a song. Wynn and I, the guy that I originally wrote "Have You Forgotten" with, in 2021, we sat down and we rewrote that lyric, and we wrote a song called "Have We Forgotten."
Yeah.
And we put that song out, and that song was all about unity, man. It because we could see this climate was, me and him sat and talked, and we got down to the bare facts. Like we said, hey, how much are we part of the problem?
Right.
Just like you said, I sat
Right.
down and rewrote my speech. How much am I part of this problem? So I'm telling you, I meant to say something about it tonight to this crowd and say, do me a favor, write this down, whatever. My song that I'm getting ready to play for you is "Have You Forgotten." Go look up "Have We Forgotten."
Yeah.
You guys should check it out. Darryl Worley, "Have We Forgotten." It did not make a scratch. It didn't make a dent. It didn't make enough of a splash to even make a ripple in the water. And I told Wynn when we were writing it, I said, this will either be as big or bigger than "Have You Forgotten," or you won't even know that we've put it out.
Right.
One or the other is going to happen. And the reason it didn't make a splash is because of the division, because we're living in such a different time.
Right.
People will listen to that song and go, if I buy into that, I'm going to have to give up this.
Yes.
I'm going to have to quit my entertainment. My entertainment is this drama and this dissension and this division and this controversy. This is what I live for. Why would I want to go with that? And buddy, when Donald Trump tweeted whatever it was, my wife sent it to me. She said, look at this and think about the song "Have We Forgotten."
Yeah.
It was those words. You
It
should
really-
listen, man.
Most
it
of
made
your
me-
lyrics are in that tweet.
It made me, and I just thought, with that episode that happened, I believe a lot of people are going to rethink a lot of things. And we weren't putting that song out to make money. We were putting that song out to hopefully make a difference.
Get some unity.
Amen.
Yeah.
And that's what we hoped for. And I mean, man, it's a sad place where we are. This country, you can go from the greatest nation in the world that in the history of mankind to nothingness if you let that division fester. It can happen.
Well, what's sad about it is that there's so much more that unites us than divides us.
Oh,
And you look at the crowd here tonight, right? Getting into the spirit of it, rocking out to the songs, just having a good time.
Yeah.
And you listen to the message, right? And you could play those songs anywhere, and people would be out dancing and hooting and hollering, right? Because the message resonates,
Right.
with everyone. But we've allowed ourselves to be divided. We've allowed ourselves to be in this dark place.
that's
Yeah,
exactly
we
right.
have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they sell it to you so slow and so subtly, it just creeps into your life. And I'm guilty. I told Wynn when we were writing this, I said, man, Moose called me the other day. He said, listen, man, I quit watching the news. And he said, I told my wife, Jamie, I said, I'm going to change everything for a little while because I got an idea. He said, I want to stay away from all this crap, and then I want to go down and hang out in the public places, go to the grocery store, do things, normal things. I want to see how it feels when I haven't been listening to this garbage for a while. He does this. He does like a 2-month experiment. He called me. He goes, things are not that different. Isn't that weird though?
Yeah.
That you'd go, it's like sensationalism. You're all amped up and you go out in public and you're like, there's one of those weirdos right there. And we're not that far apart.
Yeah.
It's just we got to get, and I honestly believe that there's some real core things missing that we need to get back to, and we can talk about all that later. That's a whole nother podcast.
So tell us about some of the people out in the room tonight. Who was here? What were they here for? Y'all dive into some of that for us.
Well, I'll start off a little bit. I'll turn over to my buddy Henry to maybe talk a little bit too about what happened today at the convention.
Yeah,
because that might be of interest. But I mean, we first of all just want to say thank you to the Tennessee delegation. Your buddy Scott.
Oh yeah,
for getting you here tonight.
Scott Goldman.
I mean, this really made
we wouldn't be here at
evening.
all.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it made the
wasn't
evening.
for Scott, so I'm thankful for that.
But I, we had folks from all across the country this evening, from Wisconsin, from Indiana, from Texas, Georgia, California, Tennessee, of course,
How cool.
and Iowa, Mississippi. Can't forget Mississippi, and just people having a good time. And Henry's been I don't want to date you, my friend, but you've been going to these conventions a few more years than I have. But and I don't want to belittle what important work goes on here, but I do think that part of it is also just getting together. Around sort of shared values and beliefs and celebrating, what hopefully the future will hold. But I'll turn it over to you, Henry, to talk about the convention.
Yeah. Well, look, the purpose of a political party is to win elections. That's its only job. One job. And if you fail in that, you failed.
Yep.
And you have no impact, because you get involved in politics because you want to make the country better. You want to make your state better. And I think that's what your songs are about. And I think that's what the American people are hungry for. And with all due respect to President Biden, God bless him, but this is past him. And, the polling shows 80-something% of the people want a new president. And I think a decent chunk of that 80% weren't exactly thinking, well, Donald Trump's my guy.
Right.
But here's the thing. Now with this shooting and the way he has responded, both that he showed he's strong, he didn't cower. He did not.
Age was no longer an issue.
Get this in that camera. Did you see that picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a significant part of it. But then when he had a moment to reflect about it, again, he says, what we've got to do is unify the country.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to talk about on Thursday night. He's going to have all these millions of people
I'm telling you,
eager to hear it.
You've got to go listen to Have We Forgotten? I'm telling you
It's the
right
same
now,
thing.
man, it's a very powerful piece. And it says we sat for two or 3 hour sessions, and we slowly but surely combed through the last 9 or 10 years, and we analyzed ourselves as much as we did anyone else, because I can tell you right now, I've been part of the problem. I mean,
all of us.
This mess has
We
wanted to
all
make
have,
me kill people, choke people to death. I'm like, I'm
anger,
losing my mind. I don't want to raise my child in this world like this, and so being part of the problem is not helping anything. And everybody is, this thing with Donald Trump, in Pennsylvania, is making people reevaluate. And that ain't a bad thing.
Well, and I tell you, I've used the same analogy. This is the newest generation. This past weekend was their 9/11. This was their eye opener. And I think this might have been a lot of people's eye opener. Even, some people, I take it for granted. We live in Tennessee. Donald Trump's going to win Tennessee. I mean, that's just hands down. You know what I mean?
Sorry about that.
Yeah. I hate it for everybody
It
else.
ain't always been that way.
Right. But
it is now.
Thanks to Scott and a lot of those people that, we just know Donald Trump's going to win. But now it's like, wait a second. We got to carry that banner, because if we don't,
I think
these
Mississippi's
kinds of
in.
things.
I think Mississippi's
Well, yeah. But, but people who want to change the country, they got to be registered to vote.
in. Of course.
Because there are a lot of folks, they're
We
just kind of
know.
sitting on the sidelines because they're like, you know what? It doesn't work.
It
I
doesn't
hate
matter
politics. I
to me.
don't trust them.
Yeah.
But you know what? The country is on the wrong
You're
track.
right.
And we got to get turned around. And I will say, President Trump I think, has risen above this, and he's helping, I think, bring the temperature down. And I give President Biden credit for talking about, some of those same things. But
Well,
I think
he read about it.
Well,
someone
well,
told me.
sorry.
I don't know. If
I'm
well,
sorry.
no,
I
it's,
say I don't know if he read it or not.
I hear you.
We're
I'm
terrible.
trying. I'm
We
trying
can
to
do that.
I'm trying to be nice.
No,
to him.
you know what?
But that's part of you. If we're going to unify the country,
Absolutely.
we got to be respectful.
Absolutely.
And so we can be respectful, but that doesn't mean that we're not truthful, because the border,
right.
inflation, crime, the weakness abroad,
Cost of
these
energy.
cost of energy.
Yep.
I mean, these are real problems, and he's failed.
You don't have to. You do not have to point a finger at anyone.
Right.
You can say, how has our world, if you want to say our world, how has our United States regressed in the last 4 years?
That's right.
And I'm going to be honest with you. You guys can tell me what you think. I had a guy jump my case at home the other day. Not too many people jump my case real good because anyway, he jumped my case pretty good. And I just sat there and listened to him, I said, "Are you finished?" The reason that I'm a staunch supporter of Trump in this particular era, this time period we're in right now, is that I've always said the last thing America needs, like I ain't always said that, but in the last 15 or 20 years I have, is another politician. And people say, especially on the Democratic side, I have people approach me all the time. He has no idea about politics. I'm like, thank you.
We needed that.
But he's a good businessman.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking at right now is who can bring us back from this regression of the past 4 years the quickest. And if anybody argues that, you're going to have to come up with some really good stuff, because I don't know a politician that could fix this in that length of time. Let's say if we can get through it without a COVID or some crap like that, he'll bring us back really fast.
And the fact that you mentioned, business, right? Your friend. If our member companies, if equipment manufacturers, right? If anyone in the business community ran their business the way that people in Washington run this country, they would be out of business and pretty damn quickly, right?
I was hoping you was going to say that.
Well, and so
that's the truth.
Yes, it is.
The truth.
We got to start treating the business of government much like we treat the business of running, whether it's balancing your family checkbook.
It's not been that long ago that we still did that.
Correct.
Our government still did that.
Yep.
Even though there was corruption and other things going on, but they still paid attention to that. And that's why we could have bipartisanism without bickering and fighting all the time, because everyone that was involved still cared about the country.
Yeah.
Now there's agendas that go way out past that.
Yeah.
That are detrimental to our nation and our people. If you're screwing up the nation, you're not representing the people right.
Well, and anyone that argues about Trump's legacy as we'll say his first presidency, we'll go ahead and speak that into being. No one can argue that he was one of the best boardroom presidents that we've ever had. He was the guy for policy, for economics. I mean, where the arguments came into play was, I personally always thought, debate-wise, that wasn't my tactics. Those weren't that wasn't my approach. There were times where the name calling and things like that really just it got under people's skin, and that was hard to. Again, when we're at home and we've got to argue with our family and friends, I can't really argue that one away. That's been the biggest thing that I've seen in the last 2 months with that debate, when he could have absolutely belittled that old fragile man that was on
He
stage.
felt sorry
against
for
him.
him.
He didn't.
Like
he
we
didn't
all
do
did.
it.
Like
He
we all
didn't
did.
do
That
it.
was they sacrificed him.
He didn't make fun of him,
No.
and
Not as bad as
that
he could
spoke
have.
to me. And then to turn around and not just absolutely get the pitchforks out, he's a better man than me. I'd have been calling my buddies and saying, hey, it's time to go, boys. I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, there's not any doubt. I mean, Trump has not been known for discipline. But the reality is, since the end of the primary, he's been very disciplined.
Right.
And we saw it certainly, like you say, in the debate.
And that's on his own terms.
And even more so after bullets
Yep.
not only flew by his head, but hit him in the ear and was a fraction away from causing big time problems.
Well, he'd
in our
probably been
country.
killed.
Yeah.
Oh, he
could have easily been killed.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
in a split second.
I mean, but by God's grace, he is still here.
Come on.
And and so Donald Trump has this incredible opportunity, and it's really, I think, in a major way, it starts Thursday night at this convention here in Milwaukee, when all these eyes are going to be upon him, and they're going to, all right, what does he really have to say? And there are going to be some Democrats who are like, whatever, but there are a lot of Americans that want to give him a chance, many of whom never have voted for a Republican, but they look back, and the polling shows it. They look back at his first term and they go, that's what I would rather have than what we got right now. Because at the end of the day, you want results. How does it affect your family?
How's it feel in the kitchen?
Yeah.
Amen.
How's it feel at the gas pump?
Right.
Amen.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You know,
Big
part of the reason
opportunity.
you're right is because you're from Mississippi. You know, Tennessee can relate. That's the two places my family's from. My mama's daddy, all his people came from North Mississippi, Burnsville, Iuka,
Oh, man.
all up in there. Poor country. We're all poor up there. And then me from right across the line, right there in Southwest Tennessee. You probably know where Pickwick Lake is.
I'm going there in about a month.
Well, that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, poor old Hardin County, man. We're a big old county, and we're starting to make some strides and progress, but we're a poor, farming community. A lot of poverty there, and not everybody in this country, their thought process doesn't come from the same place, so that's difficult. Sometimes I watch these big political figures and I think, man, you ain't talking to the people.
Yeah, you're missing the
You're
mark.
talking to the people that you work with in Washington, D.C., but you ain't talking to the people.
And that's what Trump has done.
Yes.
And it started in 2015, and I will say, lots of folks, myself included, were like, no way. There's no way. There's a billionaire from New York, but the ironic thing, it was a billionaire from New York who connected with working class folks.
Right.
White, black, Hispanic, Asian, whoever. And I will say, I think did a great service for the Republican Party, because he kind of moved us away from being more the party of big business to the folks. And
we needed that.
Absolutely.
Because people were saying, right when you're talking about, people were saying, y'all are looking like the Democrats. But that's the weird thing about the whole thing, is this whole paradigm shift kind of thing that's happened with the parties over the years. With the exception of a few issues, it's just kind of, because I remember when I was a kid, the people that were staunch voted Democrat. It's like we're the working men, and boy, that changed. That changed big time.
Reagan tapped into them, and
that's right.
And then
one of my favorites.
Yes, no doubt about it. But Trump has definitely reconnected with them.
Yes, sir.
And anyway, huge opportunity, and it's beyond the White House.
Yeah,
it has to do with the House. It has to do with the Senate. It has to do with governor's races and legislative races. But people who are hearing this, if you're not registered, if you think, well, it's just not worth my time, it is worth your time.
Oh man,
absolutely. Big time.
I tell people all the time, if you don't go sign up and vote for yourself and for your way of life, do it for some guy that's deployed right now
somewhere standing in the gap for you and I that may lose his life tonight. Do it for that person so that he doesn't feel like he has wasted that.
Do it for that fire chief in
Amen.
Pennsylvania who tried to protect his family.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
And
talking
he's
about.
gone.
Yeah.
Man, when I hear people say that, even I've got some really close people to me that have said that to me, and these are people who highly decorated military people,
Sure.
and I have to have that discussion with them, and I'm like, you can't say that. You can't. Having been where you've been in this world and done what you've done, you cannot say that. Well, why can't I? I can say it. I can say it because that's how I feel. I said, then stop thinking about yourself and think about someone else. That's the American way. We're supposed to be trying to help each other get through this, and not going to the polls is one of the worst things you could ever do.
Yeah.
And trying the same thing over and over again, while failing is the definition of, and I think this is a family-friendly podcast. I won't say what it's the
You
definition
can
of.
say it.
What?
It's totally
It's the definition of freaking insanity.
insanity.
And so then, if we do that over and over again, and we expect different results, then we're not really changing anything. And I think it's, Henry's absolutely right about going out and voting
Yes.
and taking some responsibility.
I'm
for
glad
the
you
direction.
brought it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a political party has a duty and an obligation to make sure that elections are free, fair, and safe.
Yes,
They do.
I agree.
Now, that said, we might not agree on what happened in 20 because I do believe that Joe Biden won fair and square. Was there stuff that happened that was improper and even illegal? Of course, but not enough to make up the 41,000 votes in 4 different states that Trump lost by. There's not, the evidence is not there. It went in front of so many courts. But here's the thing. American people don't want to hear about it. What they want to hear about is what Trump is talking about.
Yeah.
They want to hear about how are we going to come together? How are we going to get the country back on track? So I would say, Darryl, let's just put that behind us. Now, we got to make sure we keep this free, fair, and safe in this election. And there's stuff that the Republican National Committee's doing. Scott Golden in Tennessee with the Tennessee Republican Party, they're doing to make sure that they have safe elections.
That's all I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
What are we doing this time?
Yep, you got to deal with that.
Because
but otherwise, let's stay focused on the issues about
I agree.
how can we make this country better and have an aspirational, positive message.
And I may get with you. This may be some reading I haven't done
Yes,
because
sir.
I would like to know about some of those cases you're talking about where it has gone before the courts, because I'm a little bit clueless on that, and I don't want to be spewing stuff that I'm not up to date.
Yes, sir.
So I may, after this is over, you
Yeah.
can tell me where to go look to read
Sure.
about some of that stuff. I'd be interested.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Cool.
And Darryl, I would just echo sort of picking up what Henry said, right? And you mentioned this earlier. Like if we are focused on ideas, if we run on ideas, if we run on solutions to people's problems, if we're running on this idea that we should be in the business of making America more competitive, more prosperous,
Yes.
if we mobilize people to go out and vote, politics is a game of addition. If we get people to come out and vote, and if we get candidates who are running on a positive agenda, built on ideas and policies that will move our country forward, then I think we win every single time. Now, that's not to say, and I agree with both Henry and your point, that of course it's got to be
Right.
safe,
Yeah,
it's got to be fair,
Right.
and it's got to be orderly. But we got to get back to being, about ideas, big ideas, solutions, and I think we're seeing that. The energy tonight here at this little party of ours, the energy that Henry mentioned, the
right.
first day of the convention. I wasn't down there today. I'm going to go down tomorrow and Thursday, but I heard it was great energy today on Tuesday. And I mean, that shows that people are excited, and people tend to get excited about ideas and solutions.
Right.
So I think, I think we're on the right track here. And, I'm also an optimist. You kind of have to be if you live in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm getting better with that.
No one's perfect. Yeah, look at those boots.
Don't throw a hip out. We still got 4 days.
It wasn't that. It was a cramp in the hamstring.
Exactly. You catch a cramp on camera, I'm gonna let the camera roll.
I've been trying to run a little bit, get back in shape. My God, my hamstring.
Well, guys, thank you.
Oh, this has been
thank you enough.
amazing.
This has been fun. We were talking in between, and just we could sit here and talk politics all day with
It was
Well,
good.
and you ended on a great song.
Thank you.
And you know, the song means a lot to me and means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And now, you know, now we know, Henry and I, that there's there's more to that song. There's the second song that has a
check
message
it out.
of hope and
Yeah.
and some optimism. So we'll be playing that
Thank you, man.
throughout the week. So
all right.
All right.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank
Yes,
y'all.
sir.
Thank you,
My
Darryl.
pleasure.
That was awesome.
That's cut.
Well, man, I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as we are, because we're having a blast.
We had a blast at that thing. You know, obviously we were completely wiped out when we were doing those last 2 or 3 interviews, but man, those guys were so accommodating.
Yeah.
And helped us, you know, make that all make sense. We had a great event. Those are memories that you won't ever sidestep, because they're just opportunities like that are few and far between. And those guys, it's one of those weird deals where every now and then you match up just perfectly with the people that you're going to entertain.
Yeah.
And it was that kind of night. So
Yeah.
I had a blast.
It was cool. You'll see some clips. Hopefully you enjoyed those of people just, belting lyrics to have you forgot. It was just that was their anthem, man, and that was cool to see. So I hope you got to soak that up from stage and
Absolutely.
and enjoy every bit of that. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. Comment, like, share, tell us your thoughts. We want to hear your opinions and all those great things. And if we don't, we'll just delete it. Or if you want to get radical and that crazy, we'll block you from the page.
Awesome.
So you can either catch us on any of the streaming platforms that are on your screen now, whether it's video or audio. That almost sounded like a little bit of a radio ad.
Well, when you ground it out right there at the end,
Yeah.
I thought, well,
Man.
he's trying to get all vocal specialties now.
Well,
All right, then.
all right then. All right. Well, I think that's a wrap. What you got to say, Worley?
You're not done, my little brother, like that.
All right, y'all.
I'm just going to say,
Be sure to
hey,
vote.
be sure to vote.
In all seriousness,
Vote.
that's probably a good way to end that.
It is a great way to end that. Vote, vote, vote. You know, now don't take that the wrong way. We're not saying
Vote 3 times.
Yeah. You know, unless, well, never mind.
Sounds Like Life with Darryl Worley is a Bluespire Media production hosted by Darryl Worley and Travis McLeese, produced and edited by Mike Murphy and Sam Hudson, lighting by Micah Powell, set design by Sam Hudson, theme song Sounds Like Life to Me by Darryl Worley, executive producers Jeff Lemanowski and Julianne Drennan.
It ain't no fantasy, it's just a common case of everyday